Hello, and good afternoon or good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Nelson, and I am the chairman of InterTradeIreland, and we have great pleasure hosting this event, which looks to the future with the Ireland-Northern Ireland National Cancer Institute Cancer Consortium. I know that we have people joining us today from across the island of Ireland, the US, and indeed across the globe. Each and every one of you is very welcome. Today marks the momentous occasion of the re-signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the health departments in Ireland and Northern Ireland and the National Cancer Institute in the United States. This important collaboration will continue the fight against cancer across the island of Ireland through cross-border and transatlantic cooperation in cancer research and education. During today's proceedings, you will also hear from senior leaders, health officials, patient advocates, and cancer experts, all giving their perspectives on what the significance of today means for them. InterTradeIreland was set up under the Good Friday Belfast Agreement to promote trade and business development across the island of Ireland. Another consequence of the Good Friday Belfast Agreement, and the reason we're here today, was the initial signing of the Cooperative Tripartite Cancer Research and Training Agreement between Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the United States in October 1999. Our organisation's involvement in the Cancer Consortium came about in 2015 as a result of a detailed study which mapped geographic concentrations of firms in the same sector on an all-island basis. The study, called Mapping the Potential for All-Island Sectoral Ecosystems, made recommendations on how we can leverage the full potential of these ecosystems through new cross-border initiatives. The research suggested that the island of Ireland was not reaching its full potential for clinical trials activity, and made recommendations that would make the 6 million population of the island of Ireland more attractive to pharmaceutical companies, including coordinated clinical trials activity. We will hear later about the many benefits of the Cancer Consortium, including the economic benefits. InterTradeIreland is all about cooperation and finding opportunities where the island of Ireland, north and south, and in this case with the United States of America, can work together. Over recent years, we've been working to facilitate this reinvigoration of the Cancer Consortium, and we are proud to have been able to play a part in this remarkable opportunity. I am now delighted to welcome the leaders of Ireland and Northern Ireland, the Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, First Minister Arlene Foster, and Deputy First Minister Michelle O'Neill, who will open our event today with their endorsement of this worthy collaboration.
There's an old Irish proverb, Ní neart go cur le chéile, which translates as, "We are better working together." This proverb is particularly relevant today as we move forward, working together to address shared challenges. The past year has not been easy, as an unprecedented global pandemic took hold of our world. However, through tremendous collaborative efforts at local, national and international level, we are now beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. Hope is on the horizon. In many ways, the pandemic has highlighted how best we can address the challenges facing us through cooperating and engaging with each other. By sharing information, research capacity and technology, we can all benefit. And that is why I am so pleased to warmly endorse the renewal of the Ireland-Northern Ireland National Cancer Institute Cancer Consortium, working to enhance cancer research and cancer care. I'm delighted that your virtual launch is also being joined by First Minister Arlene Foster and Deputy First Minister Michelle O'Neill, and I look forward to an opportunity to discuss this initiative with President Biden tomorrow. This consortium is a practical and successful illustration of what can be achieved when we collaborate, pooling talent and resources. It is an exemplar of North-South cooperation and a testament to the rewards we can all reap by working together on this island, alongside our partners in the United States. The renewal of the Ireland-Northern Ireland National Cancer Institute Cancer Consortium will further build on the cooperation and close ties that we share to the benefit of cancer patients. The consortium has been a mechanism to foster and deepen links between health services, academic institutions and researchers. Its success over the years has been driven by the dedication and enthusiasm of these stakeholders, and I want to thank all those involved. I know that this consortium has been and will continue to be of mutual benefit, and I am confident that there will be many positive impacts arising out of it for patients across the island of Ireland and the United States.
I'm pleased that today's event is one of the first engagements between the Northern Ireland Executive and the new administration in the White House. While we are not able to meet today in person, our bond of friendship is strong and enduring. The renewal of our shared commitment to improve cancer services and patient care, as set out in the Memorandum of Understanding, is witness to that. Over this last 2 decades, we've seen the real value of research and collaboration through the Consortium in delivering better health outcomes for people. Our shared ambition is undimmed by the new challenge that faces us as we emerge from this global pandemic. We are embarked on the important task of rebalancing and rebuilding our cancer services as part of our wider strategic health planning. But we can have real hope for the future based on a deeper understanding and appreciation of what can be achieved by our medical and scientific teams working together across local and international borders. I'm delighted to support this valuable initiative and look forward to hearing more about its progress and the benefits it brings to all of our citizens.
The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding exemplifies what can be achieved through partnership working across this island and across the Atlantic. Responding to the pandemic has challenged every administration globally. It has also shown us the true value of collaboration and shared learning as we have united across the world with a common goal of protecting our people. As we look forward to rebuilding, we must work to ensure that other services, and in particular cancer care, are not only fully restored but also enhanced. This Memorandum of Understanding will help just to do that. It will bring a renewed focus to the vital areas of cancer care and of research, and it will further strengthen the relationship between the island of Ireland and the United States, something which we all value deeply. I warmly welcome the opportunity to develop the relationship with the new Biden administration. So congratulations to everyone involved in this wonderful partnership, which I have no doubt will bring many benefits to our people.
Thank you, Taoiseach, First Minister and Deputy First Minister. Your endorsement of this partnership emphasises how important this collaboration is to the whole island. It goes without saying that the most important group who stand to benefit from this consortium are patients, both those living with and beyond cancer. We want to know what difference the Cancer Consortium has made to patients and what difference it can make going forward. I'm now delighted to welcome 2 patient advocates who know firsthand what it is like to receive the devastating news of a cancer diagnosis. They will tell us how they and others have benefited from this consortium in the past and what their hopes are for future cancer cooperation with this revived partnership in place. Firstly, we're going to hear from Margaret Grayson from Northern Ireland, and then we will hear from Patrick Keevlahan on behalf of patients in Ireland. Let's hear their messages.
Hello, I'm Margaret Grayson. I chair the Northern Ireland Cancer Research Consumer Forum under the auspices of the Northern Ireland Cancer Trials Network. This is a truly momentous day. As this agreement is signed, it is much more than a piece of paper. It has an outcome for all who are diagnosed with cancer, no matter where we live on this island. In fact, it is a momentous day for the whole population because very few of us have not been impacted as a patient or as some family member or as a friend. And what does this mean? This coming together, this working together of minds to ensure that there is just one common purpose: to make things better for cancer patients. And that is so exciting to be happening today. The agreement was been going for 21 years, but this re-signing today takes us on a step looking to the future and going forward. What does it mean for us? It means the very best of research. It means the really good use of our data. The ability to have cancer trials, be part of clinical trials, no matter where we live on the island. And those clinical trials will result in more effective treatments, in quality of life for those of us living with and beyond cancer. I have a lot to say thank you to researchers in the past for, because it was that research that decided and gave me my treatment decisions, the decisions about the best surgery technique, the combination of my chemotherapy drugs, the dose and fractionation of my radiotherapy, and the drug that I took today. So research means so much, but the looking to the future and where we're going with the level of research that's going to be happening, that's exciting. That's brilliant for people who will be diagnosed with cancer. I'm excited to look to the future with this whole collaboration.
Hello, my name is Patrick Kivlan. I'm chairperson of the Patient Consultation Committee with Cancer Trials Ireland. I'd like to applaud all those involved in this process today and the work that they've completed to arrive at the signing of this MOU. The bottom line is cancer trials save and extend people's lives. I was diagnosed at 48 with leukemia, and the initial prognosis was I would have a remission of approximately 5 years. Thanks to my involvement in the clinical trial, my remission now stands at 8 years and the drug continues to work. So I am proof of the fact that trials work and can extend people's lives. Trials need to be made available to all potential patients, irrespective of geography. We need to improve access to trials north and south. We need to make people more aware of what trials are available. We need to make more trials available. And we need to provide more clinical trials in more locations, making it as easy as possible for patients to access those trials. Travel is an important issue for patients. Somebody traveling from Donegal to Dublin to receive treatment puts an additional burden on them. So this MOU will help people travel safe from Donegal to Derry, making the process easier for patients. Finally, I believe this MOU will help us build bridges. It will link clinicians, it will link patients, it will make more people more aware of clinical trials, which can only be of benefit to patients in the long run. I wish all well with the great work ahead arising from the signing of this MOU.
Margaret, Patrick, thank you. You have given such a powerful message of the direct impact that collaboration on cancer treatment and research has had on your life and that of others. We all wish you well in the future, and please continue to act as a crucial voice for many cancer patients here. We now come to the signing of the Ireland-Northern Ireland National Cancer Consortium Memorandum of Understanding. The signing of this document represents an important day for patients, healthcare professionals, researchers, and government representatives both here on the island of Ireland and in the United States. Firstly, we'll hear from Minister Stephen Donnelly from the Department of Health in Ireland, then Minister Robin Swan from the Department of Health in Northern Ireland, and finally from Dr. Norman Sharpless, Director of the National Cancer Institute in the United States of America. Each senior health official will reflect on why this collaboration on cancer research and education is important. We will then witness the historic signing of the new memorandum.
Good afternoon to everyone viewing today's Look to the Future event. I'm happy to be here with you, albeit virtually, along with Minister Swan and Dr. Sharpless. Thanks to Ken Nelson for chairing this event. As Minister, I'm delighted to be signing a renewed Memorandum of Understanding on a cancer consortium that is going to facilitate cooperation across Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the United States. Such cooperation will ultimately benefit cancer patients as we share knowledge, experience, and best practice across areas including prevention, research, and of course innovation. We will be building on the legacy of the consortium originally established in 1999 and all of the great work that has taken place across Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the United States in the following 2 decades. Every year, approximately 20,000 people are diagnosed with invasive cancer in Ireland. The number is expected to rise significantly with our growing and ageing population. Against this background, we have identified cancer prevention as a cornerstone of Ireland's national cancer strategy. Prevention offers the most cost-effective long-term approach for cancer control. A broad objective of the National Cancer Strategy is to have models of care in place that ensure patients receive the required care in a timely fashion from an expert clinical team in the optimal location. In other words, we're working to ensure that people receive the right care in the right place at the right time. The positive impact of research activity, including clinical trials, on the care of patients is universally accepted. Indeed, we have already heard today about the benefits of clinical trials for participants. Our National Cancer Strategy aims to continue to develop a culture in the cancer care system that values research to the benefit of patients and that's supportive of those who engage in research. It also commits to a significant increase in patient participation on cancer therapeutic clinical trials. Advances in molecular technology have resulted in improved cancer diagnosis, the use of more targeted therapies, and better monitoring of treatment outcomes. Much technological progress has been made in this field and will continue to advance rapidly. These innovations will improve people's health by making treatment more precise, and it will increasingly move healthcare towards risk assessment, surveillance, and prevention. I have no doubt that collaboration across each of these areas between Ireland, Northern Ireland, and the National Cancer Institute in the United States will be of benefit to cancer patients. I know there is great enthusiasm and expertise among stakeholders across government agencies, academic institutions, the community and voluntary sector, and elsewhere. And I look forward to seeing what we can develop together through this renewed Cancer Consortium. We have made significant progress in developing cancer services in Ireland. Working together with colleagues in Northern Ireland and the United States, we can build on this and really have an impact on preventing cancer and on improving the lives of those living with cancer and beyond their cancer diagnosis. I would also like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day, even if it is a day early.
Thank you, Stephen. As Health Minister for Northern Ireland, it is a privilege to join today's Look to the Future virtual event. This multilateral partnership between the National Cancer Institute, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland will enable us to continue to forge strategic alliances among the 3 jurisdictions to improve clinical cancer services and patient care nationally, and to foster joint collaborations in cancer research and development. Because we are all too aware of the challenges cancers present right across our jurisdictions. In Northern Ireland, the projections for the future make stark reading, with rates of cancer expected to rise by 43% for men and 40% for women by 2026. It is imperative that we act now to meet the challenge, and by working together we can tackle the biggest killer on the island of Ireland. Re-signing and reinvigorating the Ireland-Northern Ireland National Cancer Institute Cancer Consortium will help us do that. It is particularly timely for us to be further building on strong links and sharing of expertise through co-production. As in Northern Ireland, we are currently embarking on the development of a cancer recovery plan and a new cancer strategy for Northern Ireland. Finally, I would like to thank all those involved in the consortium over the last 21 years and commend you on what has been achieved for the people of this island. And I look forward to the new opportunities that further collaboration will bring. Thank you.
As Director of the United States National Cancer Institute, I'm really pleased to be here today. Thank you, Minister Donnelly and Mr. Swan, for your valuable remarks. I'd also like to thank InterTradeIreland for facilitating this renewed partnership and for bringing us here today. We're thrilled to join Ireland and Northern Ireland to continue our collaboration, begun in 1999, to support cancer research, control, and training on a global scale. And most importantly, to work together to speed progress against cancer for all of our patients, no matter what side of the Atlantic you're on. As we all know, cancer remains a leading cause of death worldwide. In 2018, there were 18 million new cases and 10 million cancer-related deaths worldwide. And by 2040, that number of new cases is going to grow to nearly 30 million, and the number of deaths to 16 million. So there's a tremendous burden of cancer on the global scale. Improving global health is a top priority for NIH and for the NCI. Almost 500 doctors, nurses, and scientists from the island of Ireland have engaged in a variety of training programs here at the NCI over the 20-year period of this MOU and returned to strengthen cancer research and cancer care on the island of Ireland. Global collaboration is key to ensure our efforts truly benefit people worldwide, proving that studying cancer everywhere benefits people everywhere. And as a first step in today's renewed collaboration, together with our consortium partners, I'd like to announce the launch of an implementation group. This will include Dr. Bill Dayhut. Dr. Dayhut is NCI's Scientific Director for Clinical Research and has provided critical scientific direction from NCI for this collaboration since its inception more than 20 years ago. In addition, the group will be chaired by Dr. Sathy Shkopal, Director of the Center for Global Health. The group will be charged with 3 important tasks: improving access to clinical trials, overcoming barriers to data sharing, and accelerating opportunities for training and education. This year, NCI is joining with partners across the cancer research community to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the National Cancer Act of 1971, to recognize both the progress that has been made since that time and the formidable challenges that remain before us. Among other things, the National Cancer Act charged NCI with supporting collaborative global cancer research, cancer control, and cancer training. Though the history of NCI global engagement predates the National Cancer Act, progress against cancer has seen a remarkable acceleration since that landmark legislation. Building on NCI's work in global oncology over the past 50 years, we further increased this commitment through the creation of a dedicated Center for Global Health 10 years ago. The creation of the Center for Global Health reflected the NCI's commitment to play a leading role in international efforts to address cancer as a global public health problem, and to consolidate and coordinate NCI efforts and interactions with various partners. This center works closely with the Office of Global Affairs in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and we'll be hearing from Norris Cochran, Acting HHS Secretary, to reaffirm from the highest levels the U.S. commitment to this ongoing collaboration. NCI will continue to prioritize global cancer research and cancer control by supporting innovative and impactful research, by supporting global cancer research training, by promoting the integration of scientific knowledge into global cancer control, and by partnering with individuals and organizations like those we partnered with today to remain responsive to global cancer needs and to build a brighter future for all. So let me close by once again thanking all involved parties on this historic renewal. The National Cancer Institute looks forward to many more years of fruitful collaboration with our partners from Ireland and Northern Ireland.
I look forward to working with our consortium partners in Northern Ireland and the United States on this important cancer initiative, which will deepen links between us and benefit patients across Ireland.
I look forward working with consortium partners across Ireland, Northern Ireland and the United States on this cancer initiative.
Looking forward to many more years of fruitful collaboration with the island of Ireland.
Minister Donnelly, Minister Swan, Dr. Sharpless, thank you from all of us for making the important and significant decision to sign this joint declaration. It is reassuring to know that the collaboration fostered between the 3 jurisdictions over the last 21 years will continue into the future. This event would not be complete without hearing from cancer experts and those at the cutting edge of research and clinical trials. Indeed, the speakers you're about to hear from have been at the forefront of the consortium for many years and acted as catalysts to ensure the consortium and its important work continues today. I am now delighted to introduce a brilliant panel of cancer experts drawn from Queen's University Belfast, Cancer Trials Ireland, and the National Cancer Institute in the United States. The session is chaired by Dr. Sathy Shkopal, who is Director of the Center for Global Health at the NCI. In this role, he oversees the development of initiatives and collaborations with the NCI in America and other countries to support cancer research and networks, promote cancer control planning, and build capacity. Satish, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sathy Shkopal, Director of the Center for Global Health at the United States National Cancer Institute. Thank you all for joining us for this very special event. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here on behalf of the US NCI to facilitate today's discussion about the signing of this important agreement between our institutions. The renewal of this agreement represents our shared recommitment to strengthen and expand cooperation in collaborative research, training, and other shared priorities in cancer research and control. And we look forward to many successful future ventures under this renewed agreement. I'm delighted to be joined by experts from our 3 participating countries who will share their perspectives on this occasion and its significance to their fellow citizens. First, please welcome Professor Mark Lawler, Chair in Translational Cancer Genomics with Queen's University Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Thank you very much, Satish, and hello to everybody. Really great that you're with us here on this very exciting day.
Thanks, Mark. Next, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Bill Dayhood, Scientific Director for Clinical Research at the U.S. National Cancer Institute. Bill, please.
Thanks, Satish. It's really wonderful to be here, and greetings to everybody following along with us.
And finally, Evelyn Mulroe, Chief Executive Officer at Cancer Trials Ireland.
Absolutely thrilled to be here today, Satish, with colleagues, and I know there are so many here in Ireland watching at home and very excited about today. So thank you very much for chairing this session.
My pleasure. Before I hand over to the panel to give their remarks, I'd like to briefly reflect on the importance of today's signing. Today's event, as many of you will know, builds on 20 years of collaboration in cancer research, control, and training. Throughout this period, we've seen a multitude of exchanges focused on clinical trials, training for nurses, smoking cessation, cancer prevention, health economics, palliative care, and symptom management. At the US NCI, we strongly believe that cancer is a global problem requiring global collaboration and solutions. I believe we have a moral and scientific obligation to ensure that opportunities to participate in cancer research and the fruits of cancer research reach people everywhere. During recent decades, there's been increased attention, momentum, and capacity for global engagement within the cancer research community, and continued global engagement is more important perhaps now than ever, as we have great opportunities to build on prior successes and achieve the kind of impact that improves people's lives worldwide. So I'd like to now turn it over to my 3 distinguished panelists and begin perhaps by handing over to Mark to offer his perspectives.
Thank you very much, Satish. Looking back over 20 years to the launch of the Ireland-Northern Ireland US National Cancer Institute Consortium, I still remember the excitement and the optimism that pervaded that historic event. And boy, did we deliver in the last 20 years. Key achievements include a robust cancer clinical trials infrastructure for the island, an All-Ireland Cancer Atlas, and the training of over 500 doctors, nurses, and scientists at the NCI, who then returned to bolster cancer research and cancer care on the island of Ireland. Recently, we published a landmark paper in the European Journal of Cancer, which highlighted the very substantial impact that the consortium has had over the last 21 years. For example, we doubled collaborative cancer research both on the island of Ireland and with premier US scientists. Also, the quality of our science improved significantly, being published in the very best international journals. And we also enrolled 35,000, yes, that's right, 35,000 patients on cancer clinical trials, saving thousands of lives on the island. You'll hear more about this success from my fellow panelist and co-conspirator, Evelyn Mulroe. However, 21 years of progress risked being reversed in just 21 months due to the adverse effects of COVID. Our research first highlighted the dramatic impact of the pandemic on cancer services and cancer patients right across the United Kingdom. It has caused significant diagnostic and treatment delays and greatly increased the risk of death in people with cancer. Recognizing that COVID, just like cancer, does not respect national borders, we reached out and worked with our Irish counterparts to quantify the impact of COVID-19 on cancer in Ireland, emphasizing the importance of cross-border cooperation. Unfortunately, just as we found in Northern Ireland and in the wider United Kingdom, the pandemic is wreaking untold damage for Irish citizens and particularly for Irish cancer patients. Believe me, the risk of a cancer epidemic on the island of Ireland as a direct result of the COVID pandemic cannot be underestimated. Therefore, now is very much the time to bring together the best minds on the island of Ireland to address what I consider one of human health's greatest challenges. An all-island cancer moonshot delivered through an Institute of Discovery and Innovation built with the patient, around the patient, and for the patient will be a real game changer for this island. We are at a significant inflection point for cancer research and its translation to better care on the island of Ireland. Recently, we showed that cancer patients who are treated in research active hospitals have much better outcomes than those who are not. Research is not just a nice add-on, it is a critical component of best quality cancer care for the citizens of this island, and it must be pursued. Today represents an unparalleled opportunity for the island of Ireland, given new President of the US, Joe Biden's unfailing commitment to cancer research and cancer care. The combined talents and the international competitiveness of an all-island cancer moonshot represent a unique opportunity to capitalize on our special relationship with the United States and to enhance both our health and our wealth. Ireland and Northern Ireland both punch above our weight in cancer research and cancer care. Working together in close cooperation with our prestigious US partner, we would be unbeatable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Let's grasp it for the citizens of this island. Remember, cancer knows no borders, so neither should we. We need to compete, not against each other, but against our common enemy, cancer. And as my dear departed friend, colleague, and mentor, Professor Paddy Johnson, who started all this back in 1999, used to say, "Dream no little dreams, for they steer not the hearts of men or women." Thank you very much, Sathy, for the opportunity for that intervention. I'll now hand back to you.
Thanks so much, Mark. I think we all agree that there's really been remarkable progress and continued opportunities under this agreement. Bill Dayhood, I'm wondering if you could share your perspectives on this.
Thanks, Sathy. And thanks, Mark, for that truly inspirational call to arms. You know, one thing we have actually learned from this horrible pandemic is the power of collaboration. Collaboration between our basic scientists and our clinicians, our industry folks and government folks, and most importantly, the patients. And across borders and across countries really drove the ability to get a vaccine quickly and safely into patients around the world. It also emphasized the importance of the clinical trial. Without these large randomized clinical trials, we could not ensure our patients that we had an effective and safe means to prevent this horrible infection. We also learned a lot more about cancer clinical trials. Due to travel restrictions in the US because of COVID-19, we pivoted how we ran clinical trials. And we learned that we could decrease the burden on patients of clinical trial enrollment, and give much of their care closer to their home in a safe and effective way. This is a really exciting time, however, to be doing cancer research. There are so many opportunities, and I'm particularly excited to be working with our partners in Northern Ireland and Ireland, areas which are recognized around the world for their incredible impact on clinical cancer research. So why are these two areas so important? Well, number one, it's the incredibly well-trained oncology healthcare team. Their training, not only in Ireland, but throughout the world, is really unparalleled with their physicians, their nurses, and their healthcare scientists. Much of this has really been accelerated by the prior MOU. I think the second thing is really the important and strong regulatory commitment that is on Ireland and Northern Ireland. This is not really a sexy topic, but it's vitally important that we ensure the safety of the patients and that we can actually interpret the data correctly. There's really been support for leadership for clinical trials. The leaders of the countries and the government agencies understand this is the safest and most efficient way to get practice-changing new therapies into the hands of their patients. And there's a real passionate and well-educated patient group and patient advocacy group who really is the crux for us physicians and other folks around the world for us to realize that cancer is such a personal disease and not just an abstract group of numbers. So what am I excited to see what happens next? Well, we need to continue to ease the burden of clinical trials for patients so accrual can be faster and much more efficient. We've learned that telehealth is helpful. We can redesign our clinical trials. And at the end of the clinical trials, we need to come up with ways to much more easily share our data across protocols and data across countries. We need to improve the access to technologies for patients to communicate with their physicians, technology to improve how we diagnose and treat cancer, and technology to really go back into the laboratory to really make crucial scientific discoveries. I think there's been a great culture in Ireland of the physician scientists. These are physicians who do clinical training and then build on that to do laboratory training beyond that. We need to really ensure the opportunities for physician scientists to continue to exist in Ireland and around the world, and will offer training as well as other folks, because these are the folks that can really build a strong bridge from the bench to the bedside and back. And also, I think we actually need to increase our interactions with our patients and patients advocates. Without their wisdom and guidance, we will never change the paradigm in cancer research in the way we need to. I'm really honored to be here today. This is really an historic day, and it's very meaningful to me and I think everyone on this call. But actually, I'm much more excited to see what's going to happen next. So I want to thank you, Sathy, and the folks on the panel again for allowing me to be involved.
Thanks so much, Bill. I think that was a really clear articulation of many of the future opportunities that exist. Evelyn, I'm wondering if we could turn to you perhaps and get your thoughts.
Of course, and I'm just so excited to hear Bill talking about technology and data and interoperability of our clinical trials, and it's just fantastic to hear that on a panel with a man from the north and two people from the States and myself for Cancer Trials Ireland. Such a privilege, and I know that. Delighted to be here on this historic day. A little bit about me. I'm from a border town in Ireland. I'm from Monaghan, so I grew up on the border. I know how important it is to work together. I studied in Belfast at Queen's University, and I'm the CEO of Cancer Trials Ireland. So colleagues and I are thrilled to have witnessed the virtual signing by Ministers Donnelly and Swan and Dr. Sharpless today, demonstrating a lasting commitment to finding ways to work together for the benefit of people in this corner of the world. We also heard from patients, that's why we do this. We want to deliver more options to patients on the island and beyond. And it's wonderful to hear from Patrick and Margaret, because I think that really brings it to life. Thanks to the support of InterTradeIreland, over the last 4 years, Bill, Mark and I, the three musketeers, have been in touch a lot. There's been a lot of transatlantic calls, meetings at ASCO, which is the big cancer conference, BioPharm Ambition, and the NCRI in Glasgow, which is a massive event in the UK. And we had discussions in Armagh with key health officials on a cross-border perspective, followed by a delegation from Ireland in early March last year. We went to Washington to NCI and met with key officials like Bill and Sathy and Dr. Sharpless. And we also had lots of engagements between our patient representatives on both sides of the border, and actually learned so much from the Northern Ireland Consumer Panel, who represent patient involvement in research. So, we've been doing a lot of work over the last 4 years to get here. And I'm representing today Cancer Trials Ireland, which, for those of you that don't know, it's a not-for-profit group. It's supported by the Health Research Board, the Irish Cancer Society, and international collaborative groups that we work with. And we work with cancer specialists across the country. So we've partnered and involved, that includes partners in Northern Ireland, in the Northern Ireland Cancer Trials Network. And as Mark has already said, we've had an astounding 35,000 patients participating on trials over the years on the island. At least half of those were in breast cancer trials, about 25% of those were in prostate and colon cancer trials. And we want to do much more. And in particular, we've a long history of working with those big international groups like Cochran in the US, ANZUP in Australia, the NRG and NSABP in the US. So, and by working with international global partners, we're opening doors in our hospitals to run those trials and offer those options to patients. Often we enable access to innovative treatments because we're in that position to be the European sponsor and bring trials here. And a current example is a prostate cancer study, which is led by our clinical lead, Professor Ray McDermott, which is the global sponsor is ANZUP. And alongside colleagues in Dana-Farber in the US, we're organising this for patients in Dublin, in Belfast, in London, and all over Europe. So cancer has no borders, as Mark has alluded to, and Bill already. And we operate on that basis in Cancer Trials Ireland. So with colleagues in Northern Ireland, including Professor Stuart McIntosh and Dr. Melanie Morris in the Northern Ireland Cancer Trials Unit in Belfast City Hospital, we've opened a number of these trials. And another great example of a trial that's just closed to treatment, to accrual, is the esophageal cancer led by Professor John Reynolds from James's Hospital. And Belfast City Hospital was one of the top performers in that trial. So, you know, there's real merit in this from our perspective. So why is this MOU so important to me, so important to Cancer Trials Ireland today? The vision is that we can do more and that our trials and our patients can travel across borders to get on trials. I want to see a patient in Cork, in the most southerly part of this island, having the same opportunity to participate on a trial as a patient in Dublin, Derry or Belfast. And the vision is to add London, Manchester, New York and Washington to that list. We feel we can do that on this little island in partnership with our friends across borders. Our grassroots members are calling for it. We have the talent here, as you've heard from Bill. It was wonderful to hear him say that. We have the talent here to do it. We have patients here who advocate for trials. They want to be involved in trials. And because the reason is they know there's better health outcomes. In 2016, InterTradeIreland agreed to help us. They'd already identified clinical trials as an area of interest, and in particular, they understood the economic value. So a DKM report we commissioned showed that cancer trials generated 6.5 million annual savings to the health service in drug costs. That's a lot to a small country like Ireland, and contributed 6 million in tax revenues and 16.5 million to GDP, and supported 230 high value jobs. And that was in 2016. I think we can do more. We can do so much more. The stars in 2016 were aligning for us. Because Professor Austin Duffy, who Bill will know well, hails from a border town also, and had just returned from the US in 2016, where he worked in the National Cancer Institute and was a trained early phase investigator and worked there. And he introduced us to Bill in 2016. He was visiting Dublin at the time and came into this office in Cancer Trials Ireland and talked about the value of the partnership that had existed. And that power of the Irish network, it was just demonstrated on that day. Austin has gone on to pilot an early phase trial that's actually running in NCI, and he's running it in Dublin. And it's in a novel treatment in liver cancer. We want to do more work like that, and we believe we can. And we believe we find a pathway to do it, north and south, so that our patients don't have to travel across the Atlantic to get on an early phase trial. That's really an important vision for our membership. In 2016 as well, I attended my first ASCO. Now ASCO is the big global conference for cancer. All the cancer specialists in the world are there, 30,000 people. And I'll never forget that year because it was President Joe Biden, the then Vice President, spoke at that event about the national initiative in the US to eradicate cancer called Moonshot. I hope today is the start of patients in Ireland and Northern Ireland becoming part of that initiative and much more. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I was hoping now that we could draw on some of the points that you all raised and pose a few questions to you all for open discussion. I thought we could start with Mark and Bill first. You were both, of course, at the Northern Ireland Parliament in Stormont for the original signing of the Ireland-Northern Ireland-NCI MOU. I'd love to hear kind of what are your memories of that event, and on this historic day, what do you think are the key outcomes and lessons from the last 21 years? Perhaps we can start with Mark and then move to Bill.
Thanks, Sathish. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a long time ago, but I do remember this. It was yesterday. I can remember walking into the Stormont Parliament. I'd never been there before. It was a really exciting event, and you could just feel it in that atmosphere. Everybody was very positive. It was all about what are we going to do together, not what are the barriers in terms of what we're doing. And it really was a step change in how we thought about cancer research, how we use cancer research to drive better cancer care for the citizens of Ireland. I was actually quite emotional. I remember being there. I had a tear in my eye because I said, this is going to change things radically in terms of how we do cancer research and deliver cancer care in Ireland. And thankfully, the last 21 years has shown us that that is what happened. You heard in relation to the clinical trials, the cancer research, Ireland and Northern Ireland are now, as Bill said last year in the NCI at the meeting we had together, are now on the global cancer research map. You wouldn't have said that back in 1999, not at all. We were very much fledgling. So it's really shown how that partnership working together with our partners in the NCI, the amount of people who went to the NCI for short training trips, for long trainings, doing prevention fellows, and then came back and took leadership positions here. So you cannot underestimate the value of what this partnership has delivered over the last 21 years.
My perspective, of course, as an American at the time, was somewhat different than yours, Mark. You have to remember sort of the political time. It was only a year after the Good Friday Accord. So there was a real sense that this was a new time, a new change, a new paradigm. And bringing folks together to work on cancer was something that everybody could agree to was really an incredibly important topic. And I think we had great momentum in the beginning. And I think the exchange of the nurses and physicians and the scientists was really spectacular. And then going forward, we plateaued a little bit. And I think that's why today's reaffirmation of this MOU is so important, because we can really get to a next level of what we can do. And, I remember being at that initial meeting, over 20 years ago, and really thinking there's such great opportunity here, but it's a lot of work to get there. And I really am really so impressed by what our colleagues in the island of Ireland have really done over the last 20 or so years. And, where we're going next is really going to be spectacular. So thanks, Sathish.
Looking forward in this next phase, what do you think are the next steps in this critically important endeavor? Perhaps, Evelyn, we could start with you and then move on to Bill and Mark.
I suppose the next steps, from a practical point of view, first of all, is let's set up a team, let's set up a committee. And I think that was one of the most important factors in 1999. One of our board members, Dr. Ruth Barrington, was also there in 1999. And she has talked to me about the need for an implementation team and to pick the themes that we want to target. And obviously cancer trials is the one that we're looking. So it looks at training our investigators through NCI, but also looking at ways to how we can run global trials in Ireland more easily. And very often from a Cancer Trials Ireland perspective, we're in a unique position because we can sponsor clinical trials in Europe, not just in Ireland, and we do. And very often we have trials open, in Scotland and Wales and England when we don't have in the north. We have to look at that. But I think in order to run American sponsored trials here, you have to have a European partner. And we've developed great relationships with groups like ECOG, Cochran and NSABP and others. When it comes to pharmaceutical trials where you're looking at drugs, there's some real thinking we need to do about how we make that easier to do because we've so many investigators, they're fresh back, from training in the US, where there are so many facilities within the cancer research units and teams. And we really have a vision to get to that point in our clusters in Ireland. So we have HRB funded clusters, and we would like to be in that position going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Sathish, and thanks, Evelyn. So, I think I've had conversations with Dr. Jim Dorshow, who is one of the deputy directors of the NCI under Dr. Sharpless. And I know Dr. Dorshow's real vision is to really ease the ability to do cancer research and cancer clinical trials in the States and throughout the world. And I think as we think about, cross-Atlantic trials, I think we need to be sure and understand that there's not one size fits all. For example, the trial that we've come out of the intramural program with Austin Duffy and Tim Gretton, we found it was actually easier to do parallel trials in the US and in Ireland, the exact same studies, but they're actually completely different trials that are written where the data is merged at the end of the study, which actually allowed us to get over some of the regulatory pitfalls we might have if we tried to merge the same trial together. We've also found the ability to share samples. Austin is sending samples back to Tim. Tim leads our liver cancer program for patients with liver cancer that can be studied in Tim's laboratory, that then Austin can drive his next set of clinical trials. And then we think we need to look broadly, what are the roadblocks? Is it obtaining new novel drugs in Europe and the States? Is it looking at sharing genomic information and data sharing? Is it getting access for new technology? So I think the more we talk, the more we look at plans going forward and focus on what may be roadblocks, I think we can make real progress. So thank you very much for asking that.
We really have great opportunities here. I suppose for me, what I'm really interested in is how we translate excellent science into better treatments for patients. So that innovation cycle that we want to drive, and Bill alluded to it as well. And I see this opportunity for investigators to lead investigator-led studies and driving early phase clinical trials. I think that's something maybe that we haven't done so much, partially because obviously, there's been capacity issues, but now I think that will be the next step, those investigator-led trials where we're really translating the latest discoveries into new treatments for patients. Wouldn't that be really exciting? That's what gets my juices flowing, let's say.
And doesn't it, Mark, when you think about the patients, who are in that space, and we've known many who've got on planes and thanks to the NCI, I've been able to partake in clinical trials in the US, but it's not the ideal for someone who's sick to leave their home. And what you want is to be in a position where we can offer some of those trials in Ireland. We're a small country, we know that we can't do everything, we're ambitious, but we know our limits. But at the same time, we have the people here, and I think that's when you look across Europe, there are very few groups like Cancer Trials Ireland where you have that network of people who are working together but have come back from they're highly skilled, and I think there's great potential there to do more. And I think what Austin has done with Tim and the folks at NCI is a pilot, and it's potential for more.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Mark, you highlighted in your remarks the impact of COVID-19 on cancer services, patients, and research. Of course, we're all taping this from our homes, and we're, of course, renewing this agreement at a really interesting time in human history, frankly. How do we empower people on the island to respond to this ongoing challenge in the context of this new renewed agreement?
Yeah, I think this is a huge opportunity. I think I emphasize in my talk, it's a big challenge. Some of the work we've done, particularly with DataCan, the UK's Health Data Research Hub for Cancer, of which I'm scientific director, has really shown the problem. But we're interested in solutions. And I think one of the things we've found is that by collecting carefully the data, particularly in real time, we can start to see what are the solutions. And that's really where I think this partnership across borders and involving the NCI is really important, because we really need to bring innovative solutions, data-driven solutions to the problem. And so I'm quite excited about that, because I think we're now starting to see ways in which we can work together, use the data to triage patients, to select out which patients we really need to look at early, which patients we can really help straight away. And that's the problem, is that we really need to understand much more about how we can solve problems. We know what the challenges are, and the other thing is obviously making sure that cancer doesn't become the forgotten sea in the fight against COVID. That's the other really important message that we want to get across.
So as much as I'd like to continue this conversation for several hours, I probably do have to start wrapping it up. So maybe I'll pose a final question that I'd love to get all of your perspectives on before then offering some concluding remarks and trying to close this out. So, as a final question, I'm curious if each of you were to translate the spirit of today's signing into, very specific initiatives to drive cancer research and care forward to benefit the citizens of the island of Ireland, as we've been talking about throughout this discussion, what would be your key first steps? Mark, perhaps we can start with you.
An implementation group with Evelyn, Bill, and myself on it, given what we've done over the last 4 years to try and deliver this. But critically important is that implementation. I think we've all talked about that in different ways, and I think it's been brilliant today. Seeing the two ministers for health signing the agreement, a lot of excitement about it. I can see a lot of sort of things have come in on Twitter today, for example. But I think the key thing is now we've said this, we've put ourselves up on a pedestal. We now have to deliver. So that's what I'll be focusing on from tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day onwards. Is let's deliver on the promise.
Thanks, Mark. Bill, I'd love to hear from you.
So I agree. It's really important we don't just have a pretty photo op today and go forward. But I look at things in three buckets. I think we need to really focus, as we've talked about, is how we can do clinical trials more efficiently. And I think that's going to be one great bucket. I think we need to talk about, our training and education mission, because that's so important for our next generation of healthcare providers. And then finally, I think we need to focus how this impacts cancer care. So, what can be done in the clinic? How can we share data? How can we share genomic information to impact the patient care as soon as possible? So looking at those three big buckets, I think there's a lot of work to do, but so much opportunity and so much excitement. So thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Evelyn, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I suppose one thing I will say about today is this is from the grassroots up. Bill, Mark, and I represent people from the grassroots who are calling for this, and I think that's a strength in itself, because if you're starting from there, you're starting in the right place. And I think in terms of data, I love that idea of how we can work to do that and share data. But in terms of patients, I want that patient in Cork to be able to get on a trial in Belfast, and we need to work out a way to do that in the short term rather than the long term. And again, I've said it already, and so has Mark and others. In terms of that implementation piece, the practical piece. And finally, if you're in the public sector and you're looking now down the barrel of what's coming as a result of COVID from the context of a recession, it's important to reflect on the economic impact of investment in clinical research and in clinical trials. In terms of the experience for the patient, it's better, within the cancer care pathway. But from the perspective of a hospital, it's actually cost saving. There's a benefit for the economy, and very often you have to talk in those terms when we're in this space, and I suppose that's important. But the will is there, and the will is there from the grassroots, and we have so many doctors and nurses who have been trained at NCI, who are back in Ireland, and I know they're sitting at home watching this, delighted to hear about today. So that's a really good start.
Great. Thanks to all of you. I think this has been a remarkably spirited discussion, on this important day where we're celebrating this next phase of this incredibly successful and important agreement. I suppose, as much as we might like to continue, we do have to start to wrap this up. Although, of course, as you all mentioned in your concluding remarks, these important conversations about how to translate today's activities into the next implementation steps will continue. So I'd really like to thank all of you again, Evelyn, Mark, Bill, for your insightful and inspiring remarks and discussion. I am definitely grateful for the opportunity to participate in the launch of this exciting next chapter, and look forward to working with all of you and supporting you however we can to realize the tremendous possibilities signified by today's events. Best wishes to everyone, and bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Happy St. Paddy's Day.
St. Patrick's Day.
thank you to the panel. We are fortunate to have committed individuals from both our health services and research and education organisations to drive this consortium forward. Thank you for being ardent supporters of the Cancer Consortium and working tirelessly to ensure that this important initiative continues for years to come. I'm aware that former InterTrade Ireland staff Aidan Goff and Karen McCallion worked closely to forge these relationships over recent years, so it is great to see the impact of this facilitation. And now last, but certainly not least, we're particularly pleased that support for this initiative is also being demonstrated from state departments in the United States government. To mark this momentous day, we now have closing remarks from current Acting Secretary of State for Health and Human Services, Norris Cochran.
Thank you, Ken, for the introduction, and thank you to the consortium partners and InterTrade Ireland for inviting me to close today's momentous event. As mentioned earlier by Dr. Ned Sharpless, this year marks the 50th anniversary of the National Cancer Act of 1971. This landmark legislation united patients, scientists, doctors, industry, and government under one vision: to accelerate cancer research and begin the conversation on cancer prevention. While this legislation focused the national conversation on cancer research, it also provided a foundation for increased global collaboration. Cancer remains among the leading causes of death worldwide. The United States Department of Health and Human Services, through the National Cancer Institute, will continue to promote global cancer research and control by supporting research, training, and promoting scientific expertise. The National Cancer Institute does this by developing initiatives and collaborating with other entities and countries. Only through continued global cooperation and collaboration can we maximize the impact of our efforts in cancer research, control, and training to benefit all. On behalf of the United States, I want to express support for the recommitment of Ireland, Northern Ireland, the NCI Cancer Consortium, and the work that you all do to benefit people living with cancer globally. Since 1999, the consortium has trained clinicians, enrolled over 35,000 patients in cancer clinical trials, and contributed to saving thousands of lives and enhancing the quality of life of many cancer survivors. We believe this research will continue to benefit those around the world. In addition, as we are all addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, it's important to ensure that cancer survivors continue to receive care and treatment, and that we look at any special situations they may face. The National Cancer Institute is conducting a large clinical cohort study of people diagnosed with cancer who also have COVID-19. The study aims to enroll patients of all ages and collect comprehensive documentation, such as their cancer type, the treatments they receive, and their symptoms, and follow them for an extended period to better understand the virus's effect on people with cancer. We look forward to sharing results from these studies with our global collaborators in the future. President Biden has also continued to indicate his support for fighting cancer during this pandemic. On World Cancer Day this year, he noted that the fight against cancer will be a major area of focus for his entire administration. The president stated, "On this World Cancer Day, I want every family facing this fight to know this: there is hope." We believe that the research that is continuing through the All-Island Cancer Consortium is just one example of why there should be hope. We anticipate that this collaboration and others like it will continue to show promising results in the future and provide continued optimism for what is possible. Thank you for having me and for your dedication to this collaboration and to the leadership of the consortium partners and InterTrade Ireland for the delivery of this successful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Cochran. We've heard about new opportunities on how to do clinical trials better and improve access to them, how to increase the education and training opportunities for our healthcare professionals, and how to increase the impact on cancer care going forward with new advances in medicines and treatments. Re-signing and reinvigorating the Ireland-Northern Ireland National Cancer Institute Cancer Consortium certainly does represent an unparalleled opportunity for the island of Ireland. Finally, on behalf of InterTrade Ireland and the consortium partners, the Department of Health in Ireland and Northern Ireland, and the NCI in the US, it remains for me to thank you all for joining us on this significant occasion and to wish everyone involved in this important initiative very best wishes and continued success in the global fight against cancer. Thank you.